just kind of miscellaneous sports stories, including, and I don't think Casey back in the studio can hear us. This is right up his alley. Did you hear about the guy? We may wait and get to this next week. The guy in Tennessee, his given name is George Herman Ruth, and he's a fraud and a thief. Guy has the name George Herman Ruth, decides to go around and grab other famous sports names, deceased, and starts fraudulently getting money from these guys and using their socials. Like, you can't do that, George Herman Ruth. For the love of Pete, I'm going to borrow a scandal, a Major League Baseball scandal phrase. Say it ain't so, babe. This guy named George Herman Ruth. We may save that for our Out of Bounds segment. How about this? Yesterday evening, yesterday evening, whatever you call it, met some friends out at a restaurant. We were just kind of messing around, catching up in the summer kind of thing. And the hangout we were at, like every place else, such as right here at Hurricane Jointed Creek, TVs everywhere, a bunch of sports on. So one of the TVs right in front of me had U.S. Open tennis. And filed under, do you want to feel old? And you got to be of the minimum age and older to get what I'm about to say. But I'm sitting there visiting with friends and kind of, having a cool drink and looking at TV, looking at sports and reading the scroll, minding my own business. U.S. Open tennis, women's tennis shows up. We're in the weeks of the U.S. Open tennis match. Obviously, they always fall in and around Labor Day weekend. And I look up, and Venus Williams is taking the court. Not for an exhibition. She's taking the court to play. She was in the field. Venus Williams. I love the Williams sisters. Great story. One of the great American sports stories of all time. Richard Williams, their dad, at times when the girls were coming up, some people questioned his antics and his parenting and how to raise these and how to practice these great tennis playing daughters of his. Obviously, he won out. Obviously, he did a lot right. But I'm watching Venus Williams was warming up and started a match, a singles match in the U.S. Open women's tennis tournament. 2025. And it hits me, and I go to my phone, because we all go to our phone, and I go, ChatGPT, how old is Venus and Serena Williams? How old are they? And it kicked it back, and I was so heartbroken. It's true, the answer, but my God, can somebody tell me when in the hell Venus Williams hit 45-year-old and Serena is 43? 45 and 43. Wasn't it just yesterday that the tennis playing Williams sisters were 16 years old? What the? Do you realize? And by the way, Venus lost in 3 sets. She was the oldest women's single player, not in a mixed doubles or doubles. She was the oldest women's U.S. Open singles participant since 1981. She lost 6-3, 2-6, 6-1. So if you read the scores, she ran out of gas. And obviously her younger opponent was probably at this point better. But she wins the first set, 45-year-old Venus, 6-3. She loses the second set, 2-6, and then the third is a skunk, pretty much 6-1. That tells you, I think, she kind of ran out of gas. But nice showing. Hell of a showing. But again, the bigger story is how in God's green earth are the 2 little tennis-playing phenoms, the Williams sisters, with pigtails and ponytails bouncing and a huge forearm, backhand, a huge forehand, They both had huge serves. They were both incredibly athletic, just mauled their opponent from an athletic standpoint. How in the hell is Venus Williams less than 5 years away from 50 years old? Where did that go? God almighty. Did that go quick? Holy, holy, holy cow. All right, we're off and running. A little bit of a bumpy start. We hope to get control with mission control. If not, we'll battle through maybe another segment or two. We don't have great communication, so we may cut it short a little bit. But as we come back, we'll take a break. We'll come back, and I got to go off on this whole Dave Portnoy, former owner of Barstool Sports, Portnoy, a legitimate media member now. He's been around. He's owned it. He's created it. I think he actually sold Barstool Sports, but he's a legitimate, recognized media member and sports media member. I think his career is going the direction of Clay Travis. But man, I'll explain a little more on the other side. But goodness gracious, what a bad look for Ohio State going into this Saturday's game. Portnoy is scheduled to be part of the pregame on Fox inside Ohio Stadium. And the Buckeye folks are saying, no, he can't come in. And I really made a point to double and triple research what is the true reason Ohio State will not allow Dave Portnoy to come inside their stadium. And it was as bad as I thought. It's a bad look. And I'm going to give Ohio State a little advice. What are we, 3-4 days away from the high noon kickoff and the big broadcast from Ohio Stadium? You might want to rethink this one. You are getting hammered in the court of public opinion. And that's not the only thing that matters, but you're wrong in this situation. Unless something comes out, unless Ohio State did not divulge their true reason, they look terrible. We'll get into that and a whole lot more. One down, a long way to go. We'll come back at least with one more segment here. The Young Norvelle Show continuing from a Tuesday location.
At One Painter First Coast. It's tough to beat the sun in Florida, so your home fades. It's tough to beat that HOA when they come calling. Beat the sun, beat the HOA with That One Painter First Coast. And it's a good time to do it. Less rain to work around, and painting in mild temperatures is perfect. After all, the paint bonds to the surface so much better. Give That One Painter First Coast a call at 904-417-3557 or look them up at first-coast.thatonepainter.com. Fast estimate, guidance on color and HOA requirements, and the highest quality job you'll find anywhere. Be a big winner in your neighborhood with That One Painter First Coast on your team.
When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jacks, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jacks is always on. Now, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jacks 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jacks 24/7.
All right, we jump back in it here from Hurricane Jointon Creek. We're in the heart of Mandarin. I want to thank our good friends, Josh and Callie. They've been really good to our show for a long, long time, as this has been our Tuesday home for a long, long time. Obviously, with wings in the name of your operation, the name of your restaurant, you know you do wings well. Well over 30 flavors of signature wings, and you can mix and match any way you want it. So, obviously, when you come to Hurricane Jointon Creek here in Mandarin, think wings. But that is far from all that they have and that they offer that you want to take advantage of. Sandwiches, Philly steak, of course, buttermilk, crispy chicken sandwich, chicken and bacon with avocado. I've had it. It is dreamy. It's unbelievable. I love avocado. You know I'm partial to the quesadillas. I'm a big quesadilla guy. My personal favorite here at Hurricanes Jointon Creek. I love the Monterey chicken quesadilla, big hearty quesadillas as well. You know, a lot of times when you get a quesadilla out and about in restaurants, they're really thin. They're really, really thin. They're good maybe, but they're thin, and that means they're not real filling. I'm going to tell you, the Monterey chicken quesadilla here at Hurricanes in Jointon Creek is a big, thick, full of chicken, full of cheese. It is a hearty, fill you up choice off of their menu. Check it out. If you don't believe me, you should believe me because I always tell the truth. I'm a sweet guy. But if you don't believe me, get to Hurricane Jointon Creek soon. And anything on the menu. But if you want my main recommendation, Monterey chicken quesadillas, then hang around a bit, have a cold drink, and watch some ball and visit with some friends. Fun hangout here in Mandarin. All right, we got some stuff to get to as I teased a little bit. Ugly story, I think, brewing out of Columbus, Ohio. Big broadcast, big game. Really, on paper, the biggest game. Certainly, LSU and Clemson is a big college game coming up on Saturday. That is two highly ranked teams. Not as highly ranked as Ohio State, Texas. Texas, Ohio State get together in Columbus, in Ohio Stadium, and obviously massive coverage. The Fox broadcast, they kick off at noon. And the ugly story brewing, and I've got to believe Ohio State, president, AD, what have you, I've got to believe that Ohio State's going to reconsider just for the court of public opinion, if nothing else. Dave Portnoy, you know the name. Let me give some background story if you don't. Dave Portnoy, a wildly successful businessman. He started and developed and grew Barstool Sports into a monster. It's a modern sports media outlet that I believe he sold for a bunch of money. Dave Portnoy, sports guy, as you can tell from his venture there. But Dave Portnoy is a guy also that kind of thinks out of the box. I don't want to say us sports people are thin-thoughted, that we have thin thoughts, but Dave Portnoy is a smart guy. He's a really smart businessman and a smart guy. And Dave Portnoy, now that he's gotten very successful, and I think he can kind of pick and choose his platforms now, Dave Portnoy is starting to lean heavy to the political side. And he's got his thoughts. And I think this may play into it a little bit. Dave Portnoy also is a Michigan guy. He's a big Michigan fan, and he's not unabashed in letting that be known. And Dave Portnoy, certainly Michigan, Ohio State, Michigan, one of, if not, maybe the best rivalry we've got in sports, pro or college. It's a great, deep, long-lasting rivalry. Dave Portnoy, where he's at in his business career and his wealth, he doesn't really have to bite his tongue, and I don't think anybody should. We live in the home of free speech. He has no problem, leaning heavy Michigan, and Michigan's big rival is Ohio State, and there's times he says some disparaging things about Ohio State, and really, isn't that what you're supposed to do a little bit? Nothing mean-spirited, if you will, but so over the last several years, as Portnoy's brand has gotten bigger, I mean, he's popped up, Barstool Sports was huge. And again, I think he sold it, made a lot of money. He's popped up on political sites and shows, and he's popped up on even bigger sports networks and shows and guests, and people want to know his opinion. A lot of people want to know his thoughts and opinion. Well, I think it's fair to say he's been rough at times on Ohio State. Now, hard to be rough on the defending national champions in college football, but Portnoy, and he plays the game. I think he's one of those, the school down south or whatever, doesn't name the school, and but it's been obvious. He's ripped on Ohio State, and I used the word ripped on purpose. He's ripped on Ohio State and kind of got on him, which I think you're kind of, in sport. It's sports, by the way. It's not anything earth-shattering. Well, the word is now that he's supposed to be a part of a big broadcast inside Ohio Stadium for the big game coming up Saturday, Texas, Ohio State. And the word is Ohio State has banned him from being inside the stadium. Ohio State, you can't do that. Can you? Yes. Is that the right move? Not even close. What a horrible, horrible look that is if you're Ohio State. Not to mention, just imagine, I'm assuming Ohio State University, massive Big Ten school, probably 60,000 students enrolled. They probably offer every type of degree you could fathom, that you could think about. I would imagine, without looking up this, I would imagine Ohio State has got to have a massive communication/journalism school. Wouldn't you think that? Ohio State University. How do you reconcile to your communication and journalism school the fact that you just censored? Your university is trying to censor a national broadcaster. Censorship, probably not good to teach. Ethics. Wait a minute. This guy, even though he has freedom of speech, he seems to be saying something that we, the university, don't like. So, and by the way, it's sports. It's nothing really important. But how do you look your students in the eye that are paying you money to be educated in the world of communication and journalism? And how do you look them in the eye and take their check when you've got a blatant example of censorship? How do you do that? It's god-awful. It's at some point between now and, gosh, it would have to be late Friday, if not Saturday morning. How do you not, if you're Ohio State, the powers that be, the people that run the university, how do you not have cooler heads prevail and go, this is a terrible look. Terrible, terrible look. You can't ban Dave Portnoy access to your athletic stadium because he doesn't laud your team. My God, First Amendment, freedom of speech. Freedom of speech. How do you look at your, seriously, this coming Monday, a week from yesterday, how do you sit now? And I get it. We can get deeper, and we're not. We can get deeper in the political, the conservatives and the liberals and this side, and we're not. But how do you, with good conscience, if nothing changes and Dave Portnoy is in fact banned from going inside the Buckeye Stadium because of his comments, and I mean, the guy has a right to his comments. I don't think he said anything, you know, lewd or rude. He just said something that the Ohio State home folk wouldn't like, and he picked at Ohio State. That's sports. Isn't that sports? But going back, Monday morning rolls around. This coming Monday morning, how can your instructors and professors, how can they go into their classes in the, I'm sure they have, I would imagine Ohio State has a massive college of journalism and communications. How do they walk in, especially if week 2, I guess we would be in week 1, somewhere in the syllabus, the first semester, you've got to talk about ethics a little bit, don't you? And freedom of speech. And freedom of speech can't be, well, yes, you have freedom of speech as long as you say what I want you to say. That's not freedom of speech. Oh, my goodness. This is a mess, an absolute mess, I think, for Ohio State. It's made the rounds, and gosh, I hate to say this, but it is true. I think this is a great situation in a roundabout way for Dave Portnoy. A lot of people wouldn't even have known who he was. They made a lot of money, like I said, starting and I think selling Barstool Sports. He's transitioned into more mainstream politics and culture. His career reminds me a lot of Clay Travis. Clay Travis, kind of the same way. Clay Travis, a sports, a lawyer, by the way. Clay Travis has a law degree. Got into sports broadcasting, became very well known, very popular, and he's kind of morphed into the political realm. He is, I'm not even sure. Clay Travis might put more time and effort into his political platforms than he does sports now. But very similar. And frankly, and I can't remember, I get them all mixed up. There's a million networks, a million pregame shows, a million talent broadcasters, and I can't remember who works for who and what have you. But Clay Travis' situation, it would be if Clay Travis was not allowed into Doak Campbell Stadium this weekend. Let's just say he was doing a pregame show Friday, pregame show Saturday morning before FSU Alabama. I'm just using this as an example, but it'd be the same thing. Different conference, but still same thing. If FSU said, wait a minute, this guy's bashed us all summer. This guy thinks we're going to get beat 60-0. This guy thinks we're probably going to have to fire our football coach. This guy thinks we are 10 years from being relevant. This guy thinks. And FSU said, no, he's anti-FSU. He's not coming to our stadium. You can't do that. You can, but if you do, you and any real entities you're tied with, I think you need to suffer the wrath. That's terrible. That is trying to control freedom of speech. That is trying to control the narrative. That's not what freedom of speech is all about in our country. Oh, what a mess. What an absolute mess. We'll see. we'll see. It's late Tuesday. Will Ohio State? I think they will. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think Ohio State will send out a release at some point before Saturday at noon and before in time for Portnoy to be included in the broadcast. Because if they do it 15 minutes before kickoff, that's a weak attempt. But I think Ohio State will send out a release. We'll have already reached out to Portnoy and the network and said, hey, you know what? We've reconsidered. We might have been incorrect. And we value freedom of speech. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll get back to that. I just want to get that. I think that's important. I think that's a really important story that it should not be buried. And if it's all true, as I double and triple researched it today to make sure it was all true, I wanted to make sure that I didn't see or miss something that Ohio State could have said, no, we are not letting him in because XYZ. I'm not wishing there was an XYZ on Portnoy's, rap sheet, if you will. But it would have sat a lot better with me if they had something a little more tangible, less anti-freedom of speech than we just don't like what he says about our school, and we're not going to let him in. So I made a point to really, I may have missed, I don't think I did this morning, but I made a point to really dig into and make sure I didn't miss it. If it's all true on the surface, gosh, that's a bad look for Ohio State. That is a bad look for their journalism communications department. That is just a bad look for Ohio State. All right, let's take a break. I want to come back. I do want to go over a couple of 6, 8, 10, 12 players and position groups in college football coming up this Saturday, which is really the big kickoff this Saturday. I know we got a couple compelling Friday games, 1 or 2 on Thursday, but boy, Saturday is the kickoff. Who's where portal-wise? Guys, I'm going to be looking at some reasons why. We'll talk some college football portal on the other side when we come back on a Tuesday edition of the Young Norvelle Show from Hurricane Jointon Creek. Nothing yet on Micah Parsons. They keep showing him, um, and they keep running a graphic on television. No participation. Didn't really do anything. Showed up. He was on the field a lot, but didn't do anything. You wonder this Trey Hendrickson deal. Will that be the precursor? I think it will. I think the first thing I thought of when Hendrickson got his deal announced, I guess, late last night, this morning with the Bengals, I think, well, hey, man, that should probably pave the way for Micah Parsons to get him in camp and get him going. As I don't think I can stomach many more cameras and microphones put in Jerry Jones's face, hearing him talk and things like that. College football portal, a lot of guys in it. Obviously, every year it's just part of the game now. It is the free agency of college football. Several players. Really, I didn't put an organized list together. Just kind of bounced around. Several players, and I'll give you my reasons why I'm looking forward to them or who I'm looking forward to. Number one, I always thought Jack Pyburn, when he was at Florida, the Bulls kid that went to Florida, I thought he was getting better every few games. I think Jack Pyburn's a pretty good player. He transferred to LSU, and Gator Nation's mad at him. I got no issues. I mean, we don't know. Did he feel like the rush in room was crowded at Florida? Did he not like a coach? Did a coach not like him? Blah 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 blah. Whatever. He goes to LSU. I think Jack Pyburn can really play. I think he's got a huge upside. I expect a big season for Jack Pyburn. He is now at LSU, and yes, that means Pyburn will knock helmets with the Gators early in the season. But he's a guy I'm going to keep an eye on. I'm kind of rooting for Jack Pyburn, not when he plays the Gators. I kind of like the guy. I thought he came in and kind of was a freshman and learning it a little bit. Wasn't quite as mature physically. I thought he worked on his body. I thought when it was announced Jack Pyburn was leaving Florida, I was disappointed. So I think he's got a huge upside. He's a guy I want to look at, portal guy. Interesting to see how that goes. Oklahoma has two guys. John Mateer, quarterback by way of Washington State. And, the last quarterback Washington State sent to another school, Cam Ward, turned out pretty damn good. I'm real interested to see if the quarterback play improves at Oklahoma. They really need it. Brent Venables really needs it. And don't overlook the running back that Oklahoma got. Jaden Ott, OTT, little running back from California, and the kid can play. The kid can really play. California had a weird year. They were only right around 500. They beat a team or two that turned your head. And California, they should have beat Florida State. They clearly, that night in Tallahassee, should have beat Florida State. Really gave that game away. California had a pretty good football team, pretty good offense. Mendoza, their quarterback, portal to Indiana. And Ott, their running back, is the guy we're talking about here, portal to Oklahoma. He's a nice back. Keep an eye on Mateer, the quarterback, and Ott, the running back, at Oklahoma. And they need offense. They need it. I'll tell you who else I'm really interested to see how his season plays out is Carson Beck. I'm not enamored with Carson Beck. He doesn't wow me, but I don't think he gets you beat. And that's been my summer stance all summer. I think Carson Beck is a guy, he's probably about 23 years old, by the way, right? I mean, he's a full-time college guy, man. He's been in college a long time. He sat around at Georgia, learned the system, got his chance. Now he's getting his chance after an injury at Miami. Is he a guy I think is going to be the first quarterback off the board? No. Is he a guy that I think might win the Heisman? Probably not, but I don't think he gets you beat. I'm going to be real interested to watch Carson Beck as he leads the Miami Hurricanes offense this year. Another guy I'm interested in. And again, it's easy to bash this guy as opposed to, wait a minute, maybe he's just taking advantage of the system. Nico from Tennessee, who now is, where is he at? UCLA. He's at UCLA. Nico goes back to the West Coast, maybe made a bad decision, which a lot of 18, 19-year-old kids make bad decisions. Nico probably should have stayed on the West Coast. I can't remember all the way. Did he announced to Tennessee late in the process and catch them a little bit down? Maybe. He may have, but, life-altering decisions sometimes can't be, in a bubble. And so, hey, man, you got to make this decision by 5 minutes from now. I'm going to really be interested. Nico seemed to be getting a little better. I don't think he was playing at what we thought a high 5-star level would be. But, man, he had big press clippings. I don't know if he could have lived up to those. I'm going to really be interested in following Nico as he plays quarterback on the West Coast. Another position group that's going to be fun, and the portal has made it so, I think, is in Athens. Georgia Bulldogs, boy, they need reliable receivers. They had no reliability in their receiving room at all. They bring over Zachariah Branch, a hellacious athlete from USC. Maybe not the most polished receiver, but hell of an athlete. And Texas A&M, they got from Texas A&M, Noah Thomas. Georgia needs guys that can catch the ball. They had too many plays, did the Dogs, and they had too many yards in their hands. All they had to do last year was catch the ball, and oh, did they have drops all year long, and not just one guy. They had a lot of drops. Going to be real interesting for me anyway to watch the Georgia receiving room and have they improved. Boy, they went out and got some marquee names though. Did the Dogs. Now, the spinoff of that, Gunnar Stockton. Is he the guy? Is he the guy to get the ball to them when they need it, where they need it? That'll also be a fun track for college football. Speaking of wide receiver rooms, looking this up this morning, it blew me away. I knew Penn State's wide receiver room was not very good last year. They were a good football team. Penn State had a nasty defense. At times, Drew Aller looked like a really good quarterback. Their two running backs that both came back at Penn State, they're the truth, man. They are really good, and I think they're going to have an offensive line in front of them, which is going to make them even better. But get a load of this. Man, am I going to track the Penn State wide receivers. They need some people to step up and being legitimate wide receivers. How about this stat? Penn State was pretty damn good last year. They made a pretty good run in the playoff. They probably should have beat Notre Dame, who ended up eliminating them. Penn State did all that against Notre Dame and came up just short. I didn't realize that until this morning. Do you realize that Penn State, in last year's college football playoff game with Notre Dame, big-time playoff game, that entire football game, Penn State did not have a catch by a wide receiver. Penn State played the entire biggest game of the year, and they failed to get a catch from a true wide receiver all game long. Can't do that. You just can't do that. Penn State, do they, much like Georgia, do they have anybody who can catch the ball? Do they have anyone that can catch the ball? We shall see. Another player that I liked a lot, it wouldn't have hurt my feelings if he went to Florida out of the portal. I had no idea if Florida looked at him, if he looked at Florida. I think this guy's a big-time player. By way of North Carolina State, keep an eye out on the name KC Concepcion. Sounds like a baseball name. KC Concepcion, wide receiver from North Carolina State. Guy can play. He finds his new home at Texas A&M. But KC Concepcion is a portal guy. I want to go back to Arch Manning. I talked about Manning a little bit when we had some college football 20, 30 minutes ago. I think Arch Manning's offseason, the pre-summer of Arch being a starter, I think it's helped Bryce Underwood, and I think it's helped DJ Lightway. If the circus that was Arch, I mean, you can't click on all summer long. You couldn't click on a college football article without Arch Manning in the first sentence or two. If Arch Manning wasn't around or this wasn't his year to get the football, I think a lot of pressure would be on Bryce Underwood. I think people may have forgotten the recruiting situation with Bryce Underwood. He is the just named starting quarterback at Michigan. Michigan's 2 years removed from a national title. Michigan is in a very high cycle right now with their football program. Michigan thinks they think Moore's the guy that took over for Harbaugh. They think they're not missing a beat. Last year was just a natural. You're going to take a back step or two while they reset the roster. I think Bryce Underwood would have had a lot bigger microscope focused on him if there was not an Arch Manning story. Bryce Underwood, 5-star, clear number one quarterback in the recruiting cycle. I don't think there was many arguments. I don't follow it that tight, but I let people do the information for me. I don't think there was much argument. The number one clear 5-star high school recruit as a quarterback coming out last year was Bryce Underwood. Remember, he committed to LSU, and he was committed to Brian Kelly and LSU for quite a while. He had pretty much a late switch and goes to Michigan, and now he is being handed the football. It's a big deal. Being a true freshman starting quarterback at a program like Michigan, it's a big deal. And the fact that Michigan won a title 2 years ago, and they're one of the best 5 to 10 programs in the country, it's not like this is desperate Michigan saying, oh, God, please, here's the football, be our savior. They're handing the ball to Bryce Underwood. They think they're going to be good, and they're saying, hey, man, I know you're about 19 years old, but about 104,000 Michigan fans you need to go run out in front of and play good. Big story. I think Arch Manning has helped keep that down a little bit. And I want to go back to one more story before we take a break, come back. We may start wrapping up the show here with one more segment. Yes, it was true. Brent Beard was with us yesterday, and I think we all kind of yesterday ripped into the college football game that now looks like it's going to be an annual thing in Dublin, Ireland. Ridiculous. No need to play the game in Dublin. No need to play it over there. Find local domestic sponsors. I get money. I get all that. There's just no lucid reason to play college football in Dublin, Ireland. And with that as the backdrop, you'll never sell me on a lucid reason to play college football in Frankfurt, Germany. Dublin, Ireland, Frankfurt, Germany. Next year, you've got TCU and North Carolina playing in the Dublin game next year, coming off this coming Monday night, Labor Day night matchup. So TCU and North Carolina will play. I'm not really sure why they're playing back-to-back. I guess somebody's home and home series. But TCU and North Carolina will play Monday, this coming Monday, Labor Day night. Then they will be the same two teams. They will be the Dublin matchup next year, while Michigan and Western Michigan will, how far are they apart? I don't know, 200, 300 miles probably. I'm just have no idea. Western Michigan University and Ann Arbor, Michigan. 300, let's say 350 miles apart. No earthly logical reason that they're going to have to travel to Frankfurt, Germany. What is that, 4,000 miles away to play a college football? That's your two games next year. Just Brent touched on that a little bit, and we weren't 1,000%. Now we are. Absolutely ridiculous. If you ask me, college football, I get it. Sponsorship dollars, I get that, but gosh darn, I could find some domestic money and keep the game played here. No reason at all. All right, let's come back. We've got some baseball real quick to hit, and then we've got some issues going on with our broadcast. We'll try to hit some sports history real quick, and I think we're going to shut it down just a little bit early here as we're having some communication issues here from our good friends on location. We are at Hurricane Jointon Creek. Back after this quick timeout, putting a wrap on the show. All right, let's get back here and kind of wrap up the show. Last few minutes here, having some technical difficulties, and we're going to go ahead and knock out one more segment and call it a day. See if we can fix things up. We're back in the studio tomorrow, and then Thursday we'll be at the patio on at Sliders Oyster Bar down in Neptune Beach. So we hope you can check us out. Then Friday back in studio. I want to thank our good friends here at Hurricane Joint the Greek. Sliders will be on Thursday. They've got trivia after we're done about 7 o'clock. They get a good crowd here in the heart of Mandarin at the Jointon Creek Bridge here. Good trivia crowd after us. Fun place, great menu, great meals, sandwiches, handhelds, burgers, quesadillas, and of course, well over 30 flavors for your wing connoisseuring. If you want to mix up your wing flavors, they can do that. Great wing choice. Obviously, the wings is part of the name. When wings are in your name, you better do them good, and they do that really well. They do wings really well here at Hurricane Jointon Creek here in Mandarin. Want to go over a couple of the names we've seen. They're trickling out now as NFL teams had to cut their roster down to 53 by 4 o'clock. Some names we've known for a day or two and some new ones the Jaguars have released, cut, waived, whatever you want to call it, running back. Jaquindon Jackson, offensive tackle Javon Foster, who I believe was a draft choice, 4th-round pick a couple years ago. Defensive tackle Jordan Jefferson, quarterback John Wolford released, safety Daniel Thomas released, linebacker Chad Muma released, DeAndre Prince released. He, I think, also was a draft choice a year or so ago. Kevin Harris just got on the roster. He has been let go. Cornerback Jabbar Muhammad, wide receiver Joshua Cephas. We talked about that the other day. They made a move with him. Same with Darius Lassiter, wide receiver. D-line Eli Mostert. We talked about that move a couple of days ago. So not a whole lot of new stuff or shake it up stuff, but some more will trickle in. I think sometimes it happens. Obviously, 4 o'clock is the deadline. Everybody had to be down, and all teams were down. That doesn't necessarily mean they've released the names, though. And sometimes there are injury situations, final physicals, I think, are part of this to know how you're released. And also, I think there's times where maybe the agent / player hasn't been notified officially. So I think there's some, all the teams were down by 4 o'clock, but that doesn't mean, every single team had, hey, here's our 37 cuts. Here's our 37 cuts. I think it was. What did we say it was yesterday? 1,184 players will have to be told or given a pink slip. As they have to be down to the certain number. Now they can certainly be brought back. They can be added to practice squads, things like that. But it's that day. The Turks final day in the NFL, and that's just part of business, doing business in professional sports. All right, real quick, Major League Baseball talk. Some things we want to get out there that might have happened yesterday are about to happen. We're about in the final 30 games. It's about a 30-game sprint now to position yourself to make the playoffs, either as a division winner or a first, second, or third place wild card. So a lot going on. Last night, Mets start their series with the Phillies. The Mets with a big win. That's big. The Mets really need to win the series, definitely, to at least catch a game. Again, we talk about this may be a 4-game set as well, but most of your Major League Baseball series are 3 games, and certainly winning a series is a big deal. But if you win a series 2 games to 1, you gain 1 game. That can be a slow paper cut way to close a gap. If you're chasing somebody, you really need to win a series sweep. Hard to do. So let's take a quick peek here at the standings. But yeah, that was a nice start win for the Mets. Gosh, the Mets and the Yankees, both teams in New York City. Boy, they have been the second half of the year. They have been. You talk about Jekyll and Hyde. Man, you don't know what you're going to get. Yeah, the Mets, even with that win, they're 6 games out, and even 6 games out. But it's a start. It's a good start for the Mets over the Phillies. We'll talk about this injury tomorrow with Dr. Bates from Southeast Orthopedic Specialist. But man, did you read or hear the description of the injury that has knocked out the Phillies ace, Zach Wheeler? And this could be a big injury. I mean, it's the ace for the Phillies, and they've battled through some injuries and suspensions. Remember, they lost their one of their good bridge guys, their middle setup guys, Alvarado, I believe his name is. He was out for 80, 85 games. He's back, sorta. He can come back and finish the regular season, but he's ineligible for postseason. And I'm going to screw this up. We'll talk about tomorrow, this injury. Zach Wheeler, Vanius, if I'm pronouncing that right, Venus. Let me read it here to get the actual. Man, this sounds terrible. Venous thoracic outlet syndrome, which is said to include a blood clot as part of this injury. And the blood clot, it sounds like, is compressing on veins. Not good. So you've got to decompress the issue, and it might remove this procedure. Generally, it sounds like involves removing a rib. Obviously, Wheeler's out for 6 to 8 months. Big injury, but man, you start reading this and then you throw in the words blood clot. I mean, I've got my notes for Dr. Bates tomorrow and the word fatal ? I mean, that sounds like, whew, a heck of an injury. And, we hope he's fine, but what a time for that injury for your ace. He's done for the year. Royals yesterday, bad loss. We talk about how amplified losses this time can be for teams trying to hold on or chase down. If you're a team trying to hold on to a division or chase down a wild card spot, you can't afford. There's about 3 or 4 teams you can't really afford to lose to. The Chicago White Sox are one. The Royals, bad loss yesterday to Chicago. Good win yesterday, opening up a series. Dodgers over the Reds. Dodgers trying now to fight off and in some cases catch up with the Padres. But the Reds, they were a game and a half out of the wildcard playoff spot yesterday. They need all the wins they can get. Unfortunately, they've drawn the Dodgers, but a good win for the Dodgers over the Reds. Good win yesterday for Seattle over the Padres, and those two series are related. Think about it. Padres-Dodgers, Seattle trying to chase down and hold on to a wild card spot. Same with the Reds. Those are two pretty good series. And then trying to see here. One more I wanted to get to. Wanted to get to this, and maybe we'll close out the show. I think this actually came yesterday officially. It popped up officially yesterday. But in case you're wondering, and in case maybe way back at the beginning of the year, if you happen to be traveling through Las Vegas and you said, what the hell? Let me put $100 on the Colorado Rockies to win it all. Well, as of yesterday, I think, the Rockies suffered their 94th loss and counting of the season. 94 losses and counting. The Colorado Rockies, ladies and gentlemen, are officially eliminated from any playoff potential. They cannot make the playoffs, the Colorado Rockies. So they have that going for them. All right, it's about 5:30. We're going to go. We've had some technical difficulties. Been a little bit of a strain here. I hope you enjoyed what we were able to bring you here. We'll try and get it fixed and be right back on the air. Back in the studio tomorrow. Thursday sliders, Friday in the studio. That's going to wrap it up a little early. I hope you folks don't mind, and we'll be back at it bright-eyed and bushy-tailed tomorrow for the Wednesday edition of the Young and Norvelle Show. Hope you have a good rest of your Tuesday. We'll talk tomorrow, 4 o'clock, on the next edition of the Young and Norvelle Show.